Hey guys, what's up? Um, excuse me. Guys, what's up? perrydew07 here, and welcome to my newest episode of This Week in perrydew07 Sports Realm. We got some college football. We got some college football playoff action for you, and also some NFL. Week 16 is now in the books, and Week 17 is this week. Which by the way, it's Christmas week. So and be there, and so let's get right into it. I'm going to start off with the college football playoff thing. Of course, as you know, the first round of the playoffs had just took place also this past weekend, which in the one on Friday night, Alabama, they beat Oklahoma 34-24, which they will now play Indiana at the Rose Bowl on presumably New Year's Day. So then on to some of the other games. You got Miami. They beat Texas A&M 10-3 in a defensive slugfest. Then we have Ole Miss beat Tulane by a score of 41-10. And then the final match, we got Oregon. They beat James Madison 51-34. So that's just the first round of the college football playoff, and now on to the quarterfinals, which I presume it's on. Probably on either New Year's Day or at least either before or after New Year's. But here's the thing: now you have Texas Tech goes up against Oregon. Of course, Indiana goes up against Alabama at the Rose Bowl. So then you have Georgia against Ole Miss, and then of course Ohio State goes up against Miami. So some of the other games. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. So we, so therefore, so now I may mention a few random bowl games here and there. Probably presumably next week, presumably. So now on to the NFL stuff. Let's start with Thursday night football between Seahawks and Rams, and man, it was another banger. Of course, Seattle, they beat the Rams in overtime, mind you. That'll be 38-37. Of course, the Eagles, they clinched the NFC East by beating the Washington Commanders / Redskins 29-18. Then we have the Bears. They beat the Packers, although albeit it took overtime to do it, 22-16. And of course, the Carolina Panthers, who were in first place in the NFC South, by the way, 23-20. And we have the Vikings barely squeaking by the Giants, 16-13, while the Saints blowing out the Jets in New Orleans, 29-6. Then we have Bengals beat, of course, blowing out the Dolphins, 45-21. Then we have the Titans beat the Chiefs. Titans beat the Chiefs 26-9. Then we have the Chargers beat the Cowboys 34-17. And of course, with the Cowboys' loss combined with the Eagles' win, that also eliminated Dallas from not only from the NFC East contention, but also from playoff contention entirely. So now on to the next one. While the Buffalo Bills barely squeaking by the Browns 23-20. Then on to the 4 o'clock games. We have the Falcons beat the Cardinals 26-19. And we have the Jaguars beat the Broncos 34-20. Then we have the Texans barely beating the Raiders 23-21. And we have the Steelers beat the Lions in a controversial ending fashion, 29-24. And then the Sunday night game, we have the Patriots beat the Ravens 28-24. And then the Monday night game in Phil Rivers' first game back since coming out of his 5-year retirement. But they lost badly against the 49ers, 48-27. Now on to, of course, Week 17. Now, on Week 17, we have Christmas Day, and the first two games are going to be on Netflix, which I don't get it. I don't understand what. I still don't understand it, but it is what it is. But it is what it is. So, anyways, and by the way, Netflix is garbage. By the way, just throwing it out there. Anyway, Cowboys travel to DC to take on the Commanders/Redskins. Now, of course, that will kick off Christmas Day, NFL on Christmas, and then the 4:30 game, we have the Lions travel to Minnesota in a must-win game against the Vikings in Minnesota. And then on Christmas night, we have the Broncos travel to Kansas City to take on the division rival Chiefs. So, and then the Saturday games, we have the Texans travel to LA to take on the Chargers. And then we have the Ravens travel up to Green Bay in a must-win game against the Packers. This is also a must-win game for Green Bay as a whole. And then, of course, the Sunday matchups, we have the Seahawks travel down to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Then we have the Patriots travel, I guess, down to New York to take on the Jets. Then we have Tampa. Then we have the Buccaneers travel again down to Miami to take on the Dolphins in an all-Florida showdown. And then we have the Jaguars travel up to Indianapolis to take on, of course, the division rival Colts. And then we have the Saints travel up to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Then we have the Steelers traveling west to Cleveland to take on the division rival Browns. Then we have the Cardinals. We have the Cardinals travel up to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Then we have the Giants traveled out west to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders, which in the game which could decide who gets number one pick, in the upcoming NFL draft. Then we have the Eagles travel up New York to Buffalo to take on the Bills. And then the Sunday night game, we had the Bears travel out west to San Fran to take on the 49ers. And then the Monday night game, we have the Rams traveling east to Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, and before I end the video, of course, in the world of NASCAR, they experienced a tragedy, which there was a plane crash that took place at Statesville, North Carolina, taking the lives of Greg Biffle, along with his wife and children, and a few others in that same plane crash. So, I mean, for NASCAR as a whole, it is a devastating loss. It is a devastating loss. Because not only NASCAR has lost one of the great drivers, but they also lost a great person off the track as well. So may they rest in peace. And on that note, I want to wish you all, and on that note, I hope you all enjoy the rest of the week. So enjoy the rest of this week. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you all next week. Adios, peace, and God bless.